Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Chromebook Classroom. Today, I'm here with my delightfully talented and creative friend, Jenny Culbertson is with us today. Jenny, how are you this morning?
I'm great, Trish. Thanks for having me on your show.
So tell us a little bit about what you do, just for some of our friends in ECSD who haven't had the chance to meet you yet.
Oh, hi, everyone. So I'm Jenny Culbertson, and I'm the visual art and drama consultant from K to 12 for Edmonton Catholic Schools.
And so I'm really excited today because this is a chance where we're sort of crossing over that physical world, that analog world into digital. And sometimes I can get some questions from people. Is it really still art if it's digital art? And so what are your thoughts on that, Jenny?
Well, I love digital art because it's just a new platform for students to use, and it really kind of dives into that creativity in the online world. There's so many possibilities of cross-curricular with digital art, and there's so many ways that we can present and apply our knowledge of digital and the artistic world combined. I love it.
And it really has become its own medium, hasn't it? Like whether that's electronics, or sometimes we've got it coded, or maybe it's that digital creation, vector art. It's its own medium in the art world now, isn't it?
It is. We can use Procreate and iPads and now our Google Chromebooks. That's amazing. And I think really that switched when we went online quite a bit. I did a lot of online digital art lessons with classes where I could Teams in and really do some neat tutorials and really kind of make it come alive in their online Chromebook worlds.
Well, and so today, this is what's so exciting. We're going to be doing mosaic art. This can be one of those daunting tasks in a classroom when you're thinking about small pieces and those different types of things, but you're going to be taking us through just your own beautiful creative version of how we can use a tool that we use every single day already in our classrooms, like our Chromebooks, like Google Drawings, Google Slides, that we can do mosaic art.
Exactly. So this is one of my my kind of art passions is mosaics. I love to travel. I love going to churches in Europe and look at this Vermeer here in a mosaic form. Just kind of really kind of showing that interest that we can go from the tools of the mosaic in a classroom to creating our own mosaics online. So if we wanted to start, we could go just kind of a little bit through the slideshow that I've created. And teachers, you'll have the opportunity to have this whole slideshow for your classroom or for your own use. And in today's episode, I'm going to take you through a couple of little tips and tricks that I've kind of learned because, again, it's all about learning and doing it. You need a chance to do it on your own, and then you can demonstrate to your students. So a little bit about mosaics, an image made from fragments of tiles. We've seen them for many, many thousands of years. Mosaics are the art of creating images with small glass pieces like puzzles. So I always introduce that first with students and kind of go through a couple of key things, like it's an art form that has been around for 4,000 years. We used to use colored stone, shells, and ivory. And then later on, artists started to use a colored glass that we've seen. So this is an awesome way to use it in your digital classrooms and in your classrooms because many teachers that I talk to don't have these tools or the supplies ready to create the mosaics that they wanted to. So now we've gone to using it on the Google Chromebooks. One of my favorite artists in Barcelona, Antoni Gaudi. That lizard is one of my favorites that I visited, and I just that's kind of what happened where I ended up loving mosaics and through Spain and just and showing students the experiences of traveling and the world and how we can bring them back so they could do this lizard in the classroom now on the digital in the digital platform. So in this one, I'm going to bring you through creating your own mosaic today. So what you would do first is you go to Google Draw, and then you're going to just take a blank page. It's simple like that. So that's
Okay, so
step one.
we're gonna go over to the slide. I love that this is almost like the food TV demo. You've got our process here. And so I do love, we're going to Google Drawings. If you've never gone to that before, you can simply get to that by going to drawings.google.com. Of course, you can go to your Google Drive and you can say new and drawing. And of course, you can even assign it as a blank template in your Google Classroom for your students. And so we have this beautiful blank canvas. And I think one of the things to point out to people, Jenny, I get asked a lot, what's the biggest difference between, say, Google Slides and Google Drawings? Because they're both creation tools. It's this transparent background that you see. That checkerboard that you're seeing means it's transparent. That's what's really going to let us make this magic.
Exactly. Thanks, Trish. No, that's perfect. Just kind of that background of how to get to Google Draw. Sometimes we have to kind of go through a couple of little ways. I always go through my Google Drive and I find it through there. So yeah, you can create this blank page. And then what you want to do is you want your students to find an image. Now at this point, this is where a really great cross-curricular piece could be. I've done this with Animals of Alberta for grade 4. I've done this with Landscapes of Canada in grade 5. I've done this with just art appreciation in grade 7, 8, 9. Just different ways you can look for an image. So this is where, so I'm just doing an apple, apple for the teacher here, but I was thinking of just something easy to start with. On the Google slide that I've made you, there's a star template just to start with as well. Start with something easy. I promise it will get better after that, but if you just kind of play around with it first, that's the best. How to insert this image, I'm just going to show you how I did it. When you go to insert and you go to image, you could either upload an image from your computer, so maybe it's something curricular you're doing in your classroom, or you can have students search the web. And of course you see my search here, the apple. So I chose an apple, and that's where you click and you insert. I've already done that, but that's as easy as it gets there. You have your apple there, and now I'm ready to begin.
All right, I love this.
Okay, so the next one is you want to make your background black so that you can really kind of focus in on your kind of starting your Mosaic tutorial. How to do your background is so I'm just going to go back to this one. When you have your image as your apple, you want to click, right click onto your background and look there. It says background. Perfect. And you just want to fill it black. So you've got your background, and that's simple as well. Some students choose different colors. I always kind of, at first, before, when we're just doing this all together as a class, I get them to kind of do it step by step with me. And then they can have the freedom to choose and kind of experiment on their own. But it's really good to kind of get the whole steps going, and then they can kind of have fun with it from there.
Absolutely.
Now, this is where we're going to get into how do I create all of these little pieces of digital glass, right? And how do I get those colors? This is where it's important that all your students are listening to where did you go to get these? So I go to insert and I go to line, and then you're going to see all of these lines. And I know sometimes I've even done this. I was like, what's a polyline? I don't even know if I'll use it, but this is where you're going to be using it. So you're going to click on Polyline.
That's my favorite tool in all of Google Drawings.
I didn't even know before I learned digital art that I was like, this is amazing. And you're going to get your students, I usually say, just choose one area to start with and then build on it from there. And they love this. Students love to just play with it. So what you're going to do is you click a line, click a line, click a line, and it closes into a shape.
It's like a dot to dot. So you're clicking, dragging, clicking, dragging, clicking, dragging.
I love that. And it's super easy. And now, don't worry about color quite yet. I'll teach you about that. I always tell the students, let's just get it all together, and then we can have fun with all the colors, and I'll show you some color palettes and kind of some neat tools to do with that. And this is just the way that I've taught it in the past. I mean, there's so many YouTube tutorials out there and lots of other ways, but this is just kind of one way that I've had success with students doing this way. And it depends on how big you want your shapes. Like for maybe for elementary, we've done some smaller shapes like that. Now I'm going to teach you something else too, where if you go to view, you can zoom in 200% or more. And that's how you can get these really, really intricate little shapes, because they can zoom, students can zoom in and really cover a smaller area. And then when you zoom back out, back to size, that's where, because this is really hard to do when it's this, it's a bigger image, right?
Do you want to learn a new shortcut?
Yes, I
It's
do.
called super zoom.
Okay.
Control Alt plus and or minus. Control Alt and then hit your plus.
Trish, thank you.
And then you can zoom in as much as you want, and you can keep zooming, or Control Alt minus.
Here, I'm going to keep zooming. Thank you, Trish.
Oh yeah,
okay.
and it's like, I call it super zoom, because it gets you in there and you could do a little intricacy, and then when you're ready, Control Alt minus, and it will take you back out.
Look at that, Control Alt minus, Control Alt plus. I love that, thank you. Because
You're welcome.
I think that's really important to teach the students to just kind of, I have a list of shortcuts as well on the Google slide for you as well today. But if you go to your view, it really helps the students kind of narrow in and really kind of enjoy these little intricate parts. And they don't always have to be triangles or such. You can and create other shapes. Now I'm going to teach you something else. Well, look at this. What if this happens? This happens a lot.
That happens to me.
So what we do is, I always say press escape and just delete that shape.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that again to show you. And then you have to go back to your polyline. So I'm going to pretend it didn't close right. And now look, it's a disaster. What I'm going to do, escape there. Much better.
Love that trick. So
yeah,
good.
So I always find this happens a lot. I have a lot of, Miss Culbertson, the arrow, it's going crazy. I said, oh, don't worry, just press escape, delete, or just delete that shape and restart. Go back to polyline. We can create that. But what if this happens? Again, same thing. Just delete that one and it's fine.
Right.
So from there, it does take a long time. So sometimes with classes, I have them stop, take a little break, because sometimes we, again, in the art world too, when we're doing something really intricate or it takes a long time, kids start to rush. And then so maybe they start like this and then it starts getting like these big shapes just to fill it. So I say, let's just take a break and we'll go back to it. But this is kind of something really great in your classroom too, that you can have as an extension activity, or when they're finished, they can keep working on this, because they really feel the pride in it when it finishes, but they sometimes get frustrated because it does take, as you see, quite a long time.
Oh, that's beautiful.
To kind of finish it off like this, but this isn't quite finished yet. But I just want to show you something else really quickly here. Now, when I went from this one to this, look at all my color palette. Can you see that I kind of thought about it, or I didn't just choose all red? What I want to show you is something really cool here. So if you go to insert, if I choose a shape and you go to the color, fill color, you can make yourself a custom palette. And we have our regular kind of colors. We've got gradient that we're used to, but there's a really cool site, and I've added the link on your Google slide, and it's called Coolers.
I love Coolers.
I know, right?
So great.
And it's so much fun. So
it's
this
like
was what I was
paint chip
using.
heaven.
So this is, as Trish was saying, it's a paint chip heaven, and it will give you all of the colors. So I was looking for, again, another great art lesson, monochromatic colors. So we can integrate the visual art concepts and connections to your digital art and your cross-curricular. So I went to red, and watch this. I'm going to go, look at this. Look how many colors I can find here. So color palettes. So this was a nice one for apples, right? We've got some dark red. We've got a monochromatic, beautiful palette. Now, if you look at this 7C0606, that is actually a universal color that we can insert oops, into our color palette. So I like to get my color palette all ready, and I'm going to show you here. See, all of these are kind of custom made colors. I'm going to copy that, and look, it's that color right now that I found on
That's so
Coolers.
great. Yeah,
So
it's
if
called
you
a
look
hex
there-
code. Every color on the internet has an
Right.
alphanumeric code that identifies that color. And so you can custom hex code
I
all
love
of
that.
your art.
And so that's really fun for students. I mean, they love to explore the monochromatic colors, and they like to get their color palette ready. So that's something that I do as a class. That's kind of a mini lesson on the side, I would say, is to kind of show them how you can create your own custom palettes using Coolers. So then you would go back, maybe I want this one. So it's colored to the clip, it's a color copied to the clipboard. And then you're going to go back and you can paste it in, and there's my color.
And the neat thing about it is once you select that color, you don't have to do it every time because it's now in that custom box. So you just have to set maybe 5 shapes to the colors that you want, and then now you can play around.
Exactly. I just love this universal hex color. That was something that I've learned as well, creating these Google Mosaics and working with classrooms. And I love showing students how to create their own monochromatic custom colors, and working with, a piece of art that we've done in our, like the Vermeer and art appreciation activity, where they can really kind of look at those color palettes that they wanted to use.
I love this.
So now we
Wow.
have our apple. We've got,
Yep.
so I've created I've done the browns and monochromatic and some greens on the leaf. And now I want to teach you what to do at the end,
Okay.
where you're going to take out the background now. So we're going to look at your art piece, and we're going to go background. Oops.
And are we removing the background, or are we removing the image?
Oh, sorry, we're removing the image. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's what I was thinking. Because I'm like, oh, if you just click there's your
There.
image selected.
So you select your
awesome.
image like this, and then you just press delete, and there you've got your piece of artwork.
That's like
Now,
magic.
I
Look
love
at
it. It's
that.
magical. I love when kids, when students see that transformation of their artwork. It's so
That's
much fun.
Unbelievable. This is so, and it's so approachable. And I think what's neat is, I think it's important to remember that the time that you would give a physical art project in your classrooms with those physical materials, we have to remember that that same amount of time is often required for those digital projects as well. And so just to be able to have kids continue to revisit this, but what's so great is we can see that process because we have things like version history, because it could be assigned in our Google Classroom, we can see how students approached this and see them constructing their art understanding, which is so exciting.
I love it. And then I also love, after they finish this, they could add text on it to it, so you can use it, in your classroom. It maybe I did it with Alberta animals, landscapes and regions of Alberta, and then they had to do some writing about their animal based on this, and then we printed them in a JPEG. Some of them made posters, some of them made art cards out of them. The digital landscapes always look so beautiful too. So there's always some extensions that you can use for this. A lot of my students save them as a desktop image on their computer.
I was gonna say their wallpaper. That's
Yes.
perfect for their wallpaper. Well, Jenny, I absolutely love how approachable this is for all different grade levels to get started with art. I love that you start with something simple. We know that we can move to things like portraits and very complex images. But for anybody wondering, yes, the whole Google Slides presentation with instructions, tutorials, examples, that's all attached below this video. But before we go, Jenny, we have got to celebrate you. We need to give a shout out because right now you have curated one of the most amazing art collections where physical has met digital in our virtual spring into art. You have created an actual gallery for us to see student art in ECSD.
Yes, thanks, Trish. Yes, every school is highlighted this year. We've got over 200 pieces, and I invite you to go to ecsdspringintoart.net And I want you to just enjoy and take tours. And it's like a virtual little world here where you can go around, use your mouse, use your keys. You can go on Chromebook. There's a scavenger hunt. There's some lesson plans. Actually, there's a digital art lesson plan right in there for you based on a piece of work in the gallery. I love to create some little lesson plans to go along with images that are in there of student artwork. There's some games to play. There's music to listen to as you go through the gallery. There's virtual tours. I invite you all to take a look for sure.
This is unbelievable. And Jenny, when do we have access to this art museum? How long can we look at this for?
Okay, so you have until Sunday, March 20th.
Okay, perfect. So if you're watching this video after you've come back to it, we will definitely, this is something that Jenny puts on every year with just a tremendous effort and the talent of ECSD students. So definitely check that out. And for any questions, whether that's physical art, digital art, feel free to reach out to Jenny. She's absolutely amazing. And her SharePoint site is just so comprehensive when it comes to being able to see digital art, physical art, drama, all of it. Thanks for being here, Jenny. This was such a great example. I want to get creative now. Now I just want to play on my Chromebook.
Exactly. And we have so many more we can do together, Trish. There's so much. I was thinking maybe a next episode could be about Google Arts and Culture. That's a whole other world of fun.
Okay. You get me excited. You're definitely going to be back. Well, thank you, everyone. It sounds like Jenny and I will definitely be back. So we hope you enjoyed this episode and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much, Trish. Thank you.